Go for it.
All right, awesome. Would you all join us, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? Don't sit down.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. There. Well, with that, before we start our regular board meeting, we have I'm going to open the public hearing, and this is discussion regarding the annual town meeting warrant, particularly with provider agencies. So I gather you are all here to talk about, head nods, yeah. Awesome. So I'll say on behalf of the board, I mean, we really appreciate you guys coming in. It's nice to, we only probably see a few of you, but it's nice to, like, at least once a year we get to hear a little bit about what you do and where the money goes, more importantly. So so it's kind of thank you guys for coming in. Kind of informal. We'll I'm going to look at the draft, the warrant, and we'll see who's here, and then if you folks want to come up and introduce yourself, we'll put you up on the hot seat out front here. So and we'll go from there. So so we'll get started here. So everybody's familiar. I know the folks that with the provider agency, you guys are familiar with the process. We've all talked about it and getting signatures and everything and all that, and it's great. There's towns do it differently all over the place, and it's been across the board's discussion several times, and we've all kind of agreed we like it this way. It shows public support, and it keeps the objectivity of the board out of it. Like it's public support, and then it comes to us, and then it goes out to the floor to vote on. So it's a very democratic process. So we're not trying to decide. Some places will do it where the board moves money around, and we think that's a little tricky. So it's put you guys to work, but we appreciate it because then it shows like, hey, we've got support out there, and we go from there. So awesome. Yeah. So we have it listed on the draft of the warrant, and I'm just going to kind of list. We'll see who's here, and I believe New Hope is the first one on there. So yeah, you get the come on up. It's like surprise, you're first.
Oh my gosh.
How are you doing? Yeah.
Hi.
No.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Wow.
No problem. It's easy, informal. We're not gonna, guys, we might have some questions. It's a public hearing, so anybody can ask questions.
Okay, and I will
Raise your hands and whatnot.
do my best to answer.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
So-
And I'm like, where do I look?
Yeah.
My name is Holly Fleming, and I'm the Communications and Development Associate at New Hope Midcoast. And I'm new to doing this, so I'm going to read my speech a little bit here. So New Hope Midcoast is the regional domestic violence resource center serving Midcoast, Maine, which Saginaw, Lincoln, Knox, and Waldo counties since 1981. Our agency believes that a life free from abuse is a fundamental human right and works to build a culture that will not tolerate abuse. Our services are free, comprehensive, and operate to empower victims to make their own choices on their journey towards self-sufficiency. Services include a 24/7 helpline, residential services, including emergency sheltering and housing options, legal services, and educational training and presentations meant to raise awareness and stop abuse before it begins. Our free confidential services, the 24/7 helpline is the first point of contact for many. And then we help them with legal services if they need it, residential services, which is quite hard these days. It's motels and funding, and very limited on finding housing. We provide the emergency sheltering and up to 2 years of housing if we can do it. Case management services, support groups, legal advocacy, a dedicated liaison to protective services at the Department of Health and Human Services. And we also offer lots of workshops to enhance career and financial stability. The legal advocacy, we assist in completing protection from abuse orders, court accompaniment, hospital accompaniment, whatever people really need, we will help them as much as we possibly can. Sometimes clothing, all kinds of donations, diapers, you name it. And And then we also offer lots of education and prevention services to heighten awareness of domestic abuse. We offer presentations to businesses, organizations, schools, healthcare. We've been very active in the schools lately. Our education team is doing an amazing job. We're also offering speaker series. Let's see. Oh, lots of things. Yes, so we're a nonprofit. We get a lot of our funding from grants. We have an annual appeal. This month, we're doing a matching challenge with local businesses. We have a holiday sale, and our biggest fundraiser is Shop for Hope. It happens every year in Rockland. We collect clothing donations and then we sell them. It's like a pop-up shop. It's quite successful. So that's how we fundraise and keep afloat. For the town of Damariscotta, we request a donation of $1,925 in municipal funding for the upcoming budget cycle. And this is based on the population of the town. So each town is a different population. And the increase reflects our expanded services to meet victims' needs and increase staff compensation and the challenges with finding suitable victim housing in a tight market.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially around here, it's really hard. So let's see, last year, our train advocates served 24 Damariscotta residents requiring 24 hours of staff time. We provided 717 nights of sheltering to residents of Lincoln County who left their abusers and provided community education and prevention services for 1,656 Lincoln County residents, requiring 275.6 hours of staff time. We just released our first ever annual report. It's online, which states our last 4 years numbers, and that's for residential services, education services, and all the services that we have. And we would greatly appreciate your support, and I will try to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions?
Like clothing and all of that kind of donation?
Yes, we will take your donations today. No. From the community, but also we call like clothing reps and some of the local shops.
Okay,
Yeah, so
because we like give to, people to people, we give to whatever, but I've never seen a place where we could specifically donate.
oh, really? Okay, yes.
Have a
We will take your
place.
clothing. Yes, and there is, oh, I wish I had that with me.
That's okay, you can get back. to
There's a
us.
couple different places that are helping us collect right now.
Okay,
And it is online. I should know this, but there's a couple of the towns that are actually helping us collect.
okay.
And we are actively collecting, and sometimes we'll pick it up, and the Rockland office will always accept clothing donations. All sizes, all seasons, children, adults.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. It's a great sale too. Yeah. And some of the stuff we get from the clothing reps is really fantastic and brand new. So it's great. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just curious. Obviously, what you do is incredibly important.
Thank you.
But I was thinking about, we've come out of COVID and now we're post-COVID. Has the nature of the demand for your services changed in character at all during that, from that period when I can imagine is very intense to now where maybe it's different? And I'm just curious what that might look like.
That's a good question. I actually started with the organization during COVID, so I'm not sure how that has changed. And I can get more detailed information for you from our development director.
Yeah, I'm just curious because
Yeah.
I knew that there were the types of services you were offering were particularly acute during COVID because of the nature of COVID. How
Right,
people were together and I didn't know if it had changed and how that might look, but.
right.
but that's okay.
We didn't have regular office hours. Now we have office hours. We can meet people in person. But a lot of the nature does begin over the phone.
Yeah.
So that didn't really change at all. I would say, I think it might have actually been heightened during that time
Yeah.
because of all being so closed up.
Okay.
I'd probably have to look at the numbers and see specifically how that's changed. I think it's always quite prevalent, so.
Yeah.
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 Oh, we're also having a film at the Scadompa Public Library, May 1st. It's a free informative film that we did with a couple of clients and a safe nurse and local police. And I have some flyers if I could leave some of them with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Oh. I was just a real quick question. I know
Yeah.
that housing's an issue and
Mhm.
and I can't remember if it was a conversation we had here with you folks from last year, but I remember hearing concern about like with folks you're trying to house that also have animals, bring pets with them and how that's still pretty difficult, right? Finding,
Yes.
removing a pet from that situation well and trying to get into housing with pet friendly and I'm sure that's still a
Yes.
challenge. I'm sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, housing and also children.
Yeah.
I just started doing these meetings, so I'm gonna need more information when I attend
Yeah,
them.
no, it's just-
About
it's
pet housing,
Put anybody in the hot seat.
pet housing,
Yeah.
yes, but I
seem
can,
to recall that coming up. I can't remember if it was a.
yeah,
conversation here or
that's
something.
definitely a thing,
So
yeah,
think about-
yeah,
But not the. Yeah.
I would
yeah.
think if if it's a hotel or someone's putting someone up, if they're pet friendly or not, we would try to, connect them with the right
Yeah.
situation, yeah.
Curious. Yeah.
No, we definitely, yeah, we definitely want to keep pets safe too. That's actually something that we do too.
Connected with that person. That's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, we will help with
Comfort or
pets.
something
Yes,
like that.
all of it.
Thank you. Yeah. Any, no, good?
And if I can answer any questions later on, I would love to do so. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
That wasn't so bad, right? We broke the ice here. Yeah. Everybody's waiting, who's next on the list? So I bet you all wish you had a copy of the warrant now, don't you? All right, well, we have Article 5 is Spectrum Generation, so we have, look at that right up front. He's like, we're just waiting.
And you don't have to stay here where our feelings won't be hurt. So if you-
No, it's gonna be a long meeting, so,
Yes,
how we doing?
good. How are you? I'm not a resident of Damariscotta. Some towns I have to ask permission to speak if I'm not a resident, so I am not a resident of Damariscotta. My name is Sean Forkey, and I'm the Regional Center Director for Spectrum Generations. We are the Area Agency on Aging. We service Kennebec, Knox, Lincoln, and Saginaw counties. Those all part of my region that I service. We do have an office in Damariscotta, right down on Main Street, kind of the Route 1 connector. We tell everyone we're next to NC Hunt Lumber. It's just easier that way. We are asking for a small percentage increase in our ask from last year. We're asking this year for $5,314. We serve 60 independent individuals from Damariscotta. We serve 2,021 meals to 17 different individuals in the town of Damariscotta alone. And so our services, our primary service, our most popular service is our Meals on Wheels program. We also offer aging and disability resources, which could include applying for housing, helping consumers apply for LIHEAP, applying for Medicare, which I became SHIP certified this fall to help, which was opened up a whole new world of insurance and helping consumers meet needs. So we are asking for that amount to help continue services in Lincoln County.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Anybody have any questions, from the board? Tom, you look like you got something.
Well, I was just gonna say, what are you gonna do with the 5 cents there?
That's just add on. I was trying to round. I was trying to think, I like nice clean numbers. Not everyone likes nice clean numbers. Yeah.
Percentage increase.
Yeah, we'll buy like lead for a mechanical pencil.
Yeah. Like most of the agency, you see a need increasing for your services as time goes on.
Um,
Post.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. So post-COVID, so I started after COVID,
Mhm.
but looking at data, post-COVID, the Meals on Wheels has drastically increased. We are nearing a wait list. And it's not because we're at this moment facing any budget cuts or any challenges. We're just at our capacity with service. We started a wait list, and then we had an anonymous donor come in and say, we will privately fund 100 more consumers. Please don't start a wait list. We're at 76 of those 100 right now. So we're moving towards a wait list. So our Meals on Wheels consumption has continued to increase across our service area.
Hmm.
But our aging and disability services, unfortunately, has started to decrease. The need has started to decrease. And I think part of that is with the limited amount of resources, once somebody applies and they're just waiting, they come to us in hopes that maybe we can like help them jump the line. Or one thing that we're experiencing high need in is first floor apartments, but also through a housing agency, which is extreme. First floor apartments are extremely difficult to come by to begin with, and then once you need assistance or you want to go through a specific agency, it becomes even more difficult to find those needs. And so we're getting the call volume is there, but being able to actually assist has decreased a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so initiative to fight that is our community services team is actually starting to go into the communities and meet the consumers where they are instead of continuing to ask them to come to us.
Oh,
Especially in Lincoln County with being so widespread. We're moving into Booth Bay at the last town meeting in Bremen. The town manager's like, come to the town office, use the town office. We'll gladly host for free here. If you want to have free Medicare info sessions, you want to have meetings here with residents of Bremen. And we're trying to move to where they are instead of making everyone come to us, as that becomes more increasingly difficult.
that's great. Awesome.
So
Do you recall if you did process applicants from Lincoln County for LIHEAP this past year?
I did not do LIHEAP. I helped with Medicare, but the community services team would be able to answer that.
Well, yeah, so there's another CAP agency that's kind of serves as area for LIHEAP, and I know they were running up against some challenges at times with the ability to process the number of applications that were coming in. And so I didn't know if there was another entity that kind of covered Lincoln County to assist with that.
That I do not know. There wasn't any that I know of. I know I made a few referrals to is the Woodchuck program that helps service Lincoln County, but I did not help anyone apply for LIHEAP. That's I'm not that educated. Medicare I can help with, and that's a challenge all in
That's
itself.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So,
Thank you.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All set. Thank you. All right. Here goes. Who's up next? Somebody? The Historical Society, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna wait till you get through the stitch, but
She just dropped one and you said her name.
I'm gonna
Guys,
pay for that. Yeah.
hi, I'm just
Neighbor.
I'm just here to represent the Damariscotta Historical Society. I don't know if you people have questions about us or what we do and what we don't do. We serve everybody all over the world. We get information. People looking for research, whether it happens to be somebody who might be in a cemetery. I mean, we get them all. So we asked for $5,000 this year, which was the same as last year. That helps to pay overhead. Everything is mostly volunteer, but we're very fortunate that we have a lot of people in our community who are willing to donate to our society. And we have over 80 members, even though we can't all get together in the same building at the same time.
I was just gonna ask how many people are involved. Yeah, we've got 80 now. That's
Yeah, and a lot of them just do it to help us out financially. I mean, we don't charge an awful lot, like $15 or $20 a person.
yeah.
So, I mean, you don't get much from that. We're very fortunate in that a portion of our site is rented from Mobius. They were the previous ones. They have a wood shop, and so they pay us money every month to use that wood shop. So that helps with the finances of, CMP, oil, propane, whatever it is. So
So the 5,000 goes towards the maintenance of the.
Whatever we need. Fortunately, we just added 13 new windows to the place. Again, trying to keep up the building and keep it more, heat loss type things. Again, that was all donated money. So, I mean, as I said, we've been very fortunate. And that we did, when we purchased that building, we had it paid in 1 year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're pretty, a lot of people just give their time and give money. So we're very fortunate and grateful. We will have an open house on July 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday, from 12 to 4. That is in conjunction with Lincoln County Historical, that will have the Chapman Hall house open, that belongs to them. And then the Newcastle Society will also be open at that time. So we hope to have some good programs and let the
Nice.
people in the area come, the visitors as well as the locals come and visit. We are again a big raiser for the cemetery part of, we just have one fundraiser. We have a silent auction that we hold at the library. We'll start September 2nd and run through September 13th. People come in and bid on items that other folks have donated to us, and all that money goes directly to the cemetery fund to help update the cemeteries. And if anyone has looked at the cemeteries locally everywhere, ours, I would say, 100% great. We're very fortunate. We have a great committee of 3 people who work for this town. And I mean, they really work. And, they're always looking for people to, again, take on a cemetery to, shape it up and cut it up and do whatever needs to be done. And a lot of that is volunteer again. So we are very fortunate with the number of cemeteries that we have. And also thank you again for the donation of the cemetery money that we use for the larger cemeteries, not the little ones that are on somebody's land and have 1 or 2, sites.
Who would be the best person for me to connect with regarding archiving some historical documents at the Historical Society?
Well, we're just starting that right now. I would say contact Valerie Seibel, who is the president. She's on her way back from Arizona as I speak.
Arizona, okay.
So,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, right.
Anything else?
Okay. Question, no. Good.
Come visit us.
Good work. No, yeah.
You see the flag out, we're there. You may be playing cribbage.
Sorry about your
There.
stitch over there. Yeah. Larry kept track for you. He knew where you
Yeah.
saw.
I'm just wondering, just have talented people at work that really work. Doesn't everybody really work?
All right, we're moving right along here. Coastal Kids Preschool. Anybody here from Coastal Kids? Nobody's jumping right out? Okay, good. All right, no problem. We can move along. How about the Scanumfa Library? Everybody knows about Scanumfa? Oh, yeah. Like, where am I on the list? Yeah.
I know, like terrifyingly looking at.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Joe?
Good. Oh,
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am sort of filling in on the spot for our director, Matthew Graff, who is in India looking at wonderful animals right now while we're here with spring in Maine. My name is Chloe Du Bois. I am the adult services librarian at Scanumfa. I've been with Scanumfa for about 2.5 years. I started in development and just recently moved into programming and circulation services. Scanumfa last year saw 63,000 people come through our doors, which, being a library that services Damariscotta, Newcastle, and Noblesboro, seems high, and we're very proud of that number. That is about 4,000 more visits than we saw in the previous year. So we were up in terms of attendance, which also feels great. Primarily, our funding as a library comes through public donations. We apply for and receive a lot of grants. We have a wonderful secondhand bookshop that raises a lot of operating funds for us. That is all volunteer run and is fantastic. And the rest of our funding comes from the towns that we service, including Damariscotta. Last year, we also had 347 distinct programs throughout the year. We circulated about 57,000 items through the library, which also feels like a lot every day that you're unpacking those bins from outside. One of the projects that we're very excited about and proud of this past year is the expansion of our teen and youth services area. It had far outgrown the original footprint it occupied when the new library was built 25 years ago, and has moved into much larger digs, and is very, very busy every day after school, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Our two youth services librarians have done wonderful outreach over the past 2 years to GSB in particular. We see every month the 7th and 8th grade, and this year the 5th and 6th grade will come in and just familiarize themselves with our services, with what the library has to offer. And we just emphasize that that is a place where they are welcome to come after school for any reason, be it to hang out, to study, to just have a good place to go. So that is work that we're really happy about this year. This year, we are asking from the town of Damariscotta $33,813, which is the same amount that we asked in the previous year, as far as I know. And that goes toward pretty much everything you can think of, building upkeep, collections development, payroll. It goes towards everything. I'm trying to think if there's anything else any other numbers I can throw at you. But
Questions for Chloe?
yeah, I'm happy to answer whatever I can. Yeah, right.
Curious,
Of course.
curiosity question. What's the size of your overall budget?
Overall budget is $750,000 a year. Yep.
Just find it interesting that the town of Damariscotta, Lincoln County, we support there's a library and 2 bookstores. And
It's a very, very
print's supposed to be dead,
book-heavy.
right?
I know, it's true. We're very fortunate. It's a book heavy town, which is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, yes, yeah.
I think Shari has a question in the back there.
Yeah.
Shari.
Turn around here.
I think you had said it covers everything. I keep trying to fight for this. It's still not including the preservation of those genealogy documents that I had talked about before.
Yes.
It was mentioned that the Historical Society might, and I was going to float it to somebody's budget because it would cost the taxpayers like 35 cents a piece. And yet it's been going on for over 2 years. These documents are fragile, and that's 2 years more of aging. And it has to do with.
How many documents are there?
There's a cabinet about the size of that table.
So
So I don't.
So let me jump in here, because I took the initiative to go talk to Matt at the library. And Matt is more than happy to work with whoever to help those documents be properly.
Yeah, and just because I wasn't totally clear on it either, is that.
But he said that the library doesn't have the resources to do it. That's just not what you guys do.
Is it
But you're happy to
primarily?
work with whoever, so that's where the Historical Society, so there's this little triangle here.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
And that's the connection that I'm trying to make here, so I've spoken with the library, they're on board, they're happy to
Yep.
participate. But the Historical Society seems like the logical home for something like that, so that's why I need to connect with, you said Valerie, so that's, I think that's the next step, so.
Yay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I knew I asked it. I was like, yeah, making those connections. So it's good. We just need to make connections. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Any questions for Chloe? Oh, good.
Anything else I can provide? And again, if anything comes up after, we are really happy to answer anything and hope you come visit us. So thank you all so much.
Thanks. Good to see you again. All right.
Oh, this is when we go
Yeah.
to the end of them and start. from
Start
end.
the other way and work back to the middle. Yeah. So, all right, Larry.
I had a feeling you were talking.
Man, I can put a microphone in front of him.
It's code no less.
Article 8.
Section 8.
9. Sorry. We just did
You
it. Yeah,
got-
thank you. Article 9.
I'm Larry Sideline, Executive Director of Lincoln County Television. we're here asking, requesting the same funding we did last year, $20,000 to go to our general operating capital. Last year, we produced over 400 shows, 132 locally produced shows, over 200 community political meetings, county municipal meetings, I guess I should call them, over 120 live stream high school athletic events. Pretty busy year. What more can I tell you?
How are you seeing the increased viewership and how's it?
Viewership continues to grow.
Yeah.
Funding continues to be a difficult task.
Right, yeah.
We're being asked to do more and more all the time with limited resources to do it. So we are exploring all kinds of ways to come up with, from trading our soda bottles in to asking the towns for a lot more money. And neither one of them's working great. But we're still working at it.
But it's good. You're seeing the viewership and engagement.
Yeah. This past winter, we had, 20,000 per school watching high school basketball. In the fall sports, the soccer games, we had 150 to 200 people watching all the soccer games, thousands watching the football games. I expect baseball and softball to be pretty big this spring. The Pumpkin Regatta was another huge hit this year. We got through it with no hiccups, except for the rain. So I can't control that. We control a lot of other things, but I can't do much with that. And we're being asked to do more. We're talking about doing the parade this year for the Pumpkin Fest. And like I said, we're just being asked to do more and more all the time, and our resources are limited to what we can do. So
What's your budget?
we're at 230,000. We didn't spend that last year. We didn't raise that last year. So.
Questions, Larry?
Larry, the Bobby Weir, What's Up special, is that done now?
Excuse me?
The Bobby Weir special is of the, highlights or
Was that?
What's Up?
Was that? Well, Bobby ran that show for 15 years. So we have like 700 and something reruns to do. I figure that'll take it past my time. At 50 a year, I think I got a little grace here, but I don't know what we're gonna do with What's Up. I've talked with his family. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't have a really good answer. There are so many great classic shows that he did before my time that was so much fun. I mean, we have people now calling us and want to run when they did the jumping off the swimming hole bridge up there, and different shows that he did to watch these reruns. So he was a big loss to the station. He was a longtime volunteer, sat on our board. He was a big loss, as it was to the community.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
You want to share a little bit about the proposal the county commissioners had?
Do I want to, or will I?
You will.
There's a difference in that ask. I can. Yesterday, I say the board of directors and myself went to the county commissioners at Lincoln County and requested a proposal, or we proposed a merger with Lincoln County Government Services for the sustainability of LCTV, the long-term sustainability, so our employees could be county employees where they could get medical benefits and retirement benefits. I feel personally that the only way LCTV will survive long-term is that way. Piecemealing funding together is not a sustainable deal for what we're doing. Most of the public access TV stations in the state of Maine are publicly municipal run stations. The people that run them are municipal employees. We're a little bit different. We're a 501c3. And even though we've been around 40 years, I think probably most everybody here knows what the story was when I took over 5 years ago. It was a little bleak, and not that it's bleak, but it's not as bad as it was, but it's not a sustainable knocking on the same door, knocking on the same well all the time. It's not an equitable way to fund the public access station. The budget we proposed this year, I'll give you an example. It would cost every person in Lincoln County $8 a year to cover our funding at the county level. $8.40, I think, to be exact, if we propose our budget to them. So the county has reached out to us to do more filming of their county meetings, as well as the sheriff's department, some of the other agencies, the Emergency Management System Agency.
Yeah.
EMA, they've reached out to us. I mean, it's just constant. We're being asked to film training films and different things of that nature. We are basically Haven in the corner,
Yeah.
doing the filming, and Larry out trying to pay Haven to do the filming.
Yeah.
You know, and we're very fortunate. We have an outreach coordinator that does all social media, and you probably got some of that. Seen weekly newsletter goes out to 1,500 people every week. She also helps with the programming, does everything I don't want to do or can't do. Mostly can't do when it comes to the computer.
A
So,
lot behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we reached out to the county commissioners. They came back with us to ask us to give them a little more homework. We have a sit-down meeting in a couple of weeks, another sit-down meeting with the administrator over there, and we'll just keep moving forward down the road and see where it takes us. It's a good opportunity. It's a win-win for both. It's a win-win for both, for the county. It's a win-win for LCTV and our employees.
Nice.
Sounds good.
All right.
That covered, Andy?
I think so. In your operating budget's for the calendar year, right?
That's correct.
And just in case people are
Yep.
wondering what that might mean with the county,
Okay.
but also calendar year, they just approved a budget. And so you've got now 8 months to kind of work
That's
with them to
correct.
see it. And then they could think of it. So the money for this year is still important.
That's
Fund
exactly.
you for this year.
Exactly
Not gonna
right.
happen overnight. Yeah.
No. Have you dealt with the county government lately? You've been in politics a while now, Daryl. You should understand that.
So the wheels turn.
Doesn't
slow.
happen overnight, does it,
Yeah,
John?
it's
I wanted to short him a penny one year and
They
they
would-
said it was breaking the law.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd give him the penny, but they wouldn't, I check had to have that
Yeah.
exact amount.
Exact amount.
So.
Any other questions I can answer for anybody?
Anybody else? No, I think you're good, Larry. I think you got off easy today.
I've got off easy. All right.
All right. You got CLC. Okay, how you doing?
Oh, come
Takes
on.
two of them.
It's gonna be two of us.
I loosened them up for you, girls. You're all good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Casey Clark Kelly, CEO of the Central Lincoln County YMCA.
Karen Ann Hager-Smith, Director of Outreach and Community Navigation.
Guys, how we doing? Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, so we are asking for $15,000 in funding to support the YMCA. We serve a 10-town service area, and Damariscotta is the largest population that we serve through that 10-town service area. So you make up 20% of our members, which is great. About 21% of our childcare enrollment, and 29% of our after-school kiddos, and 12% of our community navigation services for 2024. And essentially, we're asking for the funding to help offset all of the mission-based programs that we offer. So mission-based programs are anything that we offer that loses money for us, and it provides a community service or a community need being addressed. And so we have a $3.8 million operating budget, and about $900,000 of that is money that we have to raise. So either through grants, fundraising, or community events. Anything you'd like to share?
Absolutely. You know, part of what we do is making sure that every family has things like what they need for Christmas so that they can put oil in their tanks. And then we make sure that the kids are all provided with their gifts. So we broke that down to see what we did, and there's 42 children, 14 families that we helped provide for Christmas. That's just gifts. That doesn't count like putting oil in their tank or connecting services or helping with LIHEAP. And we also do, so that's one initiative. We do several initiatives, and I think the important thing to you know, a lot of people see me and they're like, oh, you do so much. It's my team that does it with us. Like, it's all hands on deck for these things, for all these free programs and services. And we also do school supplies and backpacks. So we do a lot of convening of organizations. I could speak for a lot of these organizations behind us. We all collaborate, and our convening role as the YMCA, being the hub of Damariscotta and Lincoln County, is so important. We were able to give 30 students all of their backpack school supplies and resources. So we hold the back to school bash and we convene as many nonprofits as we can. And they also get free haircuts for school. So it's really about the convening and the staff are all bought in. They are there for every family that we serve. We're doing a lot more with being trauma informed, and that definitely is our approach with our character and our 4 core values for families.
Any questions, anybody?
And we give sobriety, some
Oh, yeah, make sure
scholarships.
Karen Ann says this. She wanted to say this.
It's like, don't forget to tell them. I mean, we do so much. We work with the police department. We do so many initiatives with the police department, and the referrals that we get for people trying to get sober is really close to my heart. And we give them free memberships for the first year of their sobriety. And what happens is our police department or our doctors, Maine Health, come alongside and they actually sign a form, and the person signs a form, and I get to stay in touch with that person that says, yes, they're doing everything they can. They go to their meetings, they go to their doctor. They need the physical activity or just to be involved. We did adult sports night, and those are very vulnerable times for those individuals trying to get sober or for mental health services. So again, that's just close to my heart, and I'm proud to say that we're part of a collaboration with the hospitals and all of the police departments in Lincoln County to make sure that program runs.
That I did not know. I know you guys do a lot of stuff, but that was oh. Anybody else? Out in the crowd? Yeah. We're good.
All right, thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Have a good
coming
night.
out, so, yeah. Oh, all right, and we have, yeah, our clothes, Hardy Roots. Yeah, hiding in the back. I think we were back there somewhere.
Permission to hand something out?
Of course you do, yeah.
Awesome. All right, you two are gonna have to share, but that builds teamwork.
Yes, yeah.
Share for everybody.
Oh, nice.
Which hopefully will demonstrate what I'm about to say, so.
Yeah.
Practice modeling.
Interactive. Sure.
Yeah. So imagine you're like a kid in a classroom and you've been hearing speech after speech after speech, teacher after teacher, and then somebody comes in and just gives you a little piece of nature. Like you just felt what that did for you just in this room alone, right? So this is what Hardy Roots does. So Hardy, for those of you watching at home, it's like the heart in your chest, and roots being rooted to community, to each other, to our own sense of mental wellness and physical wellness. So who we are relatively new on the scene. We started in 2017 with serving about 6 girls, bringing them out to preserves to just kind of help them stabilize with some big things going on in their lives. So a trauma-informed approach to getting kids connected to land. Last year, we served 600 kids in 7 schools in 2 counties. We are asking the town of Damariscotta for $5,000, which I think, yes, what we asked for last year. We served just under 70 kids last year in Damariscotta. We are in Great Salt Bay School and we are in Lincoln Academy. And we go in during the school day to do just really cool stuff with kids. We get them out of the classroom. We take them into the trails around the schools. We help them see how their own pathway is reflected in nature. So like if you've got a rock, right, you're feeling grounded to the earth you're walking on, right? You're feeling stewardship to the land. If you've got the pine needles, the kids are walking out in the woods and looking at the snow weighting down the pine needles. And we get that, we open them up to talk about like, what is the anxiety in you? What's weighing you down? What can we do to help you with these things? And so they're using nature as this conduit to talk about big issues and build community, build peer relationships. So guidance counselors are relying on us heavily. Administrators in schools are relying on our intervention work. teachers, kids who go out and are on trails and are getting this decompression time are coming back to the classroom stronger, more alert. There's less behavioral outbursts. They're more engaged with the teamwork of the classroom. We offer the only outdoor adventure programs for kids with neurological issues and major physical barriers. We meet kids where they're at. We're just constantly nimble and responsive to what kids need in the community. I think I'll stop there and see if you guys have questions. We're sort of doing so much and we've grown, so.
Did you think, so you guys, you started in 17 with
2017, yeah,
was 6, right? 6.
about 6 girls,
So
yeah.
Had you envisioned, 8 years later going to,
Yeah,
what's the percentage, is it 600?
600 last year, yeah.
Yeah, so I envisioned at the time you probably had some stepping stone, like, oh,
We did.
we can do 10 next year and
Yeah.
then 20, and it was like, boom, 600.
Yeah,
That's
it's a great question. Great observation.
Yeah.
We sort of doubled every year. So in 2022, we had a big shift. We did a capital campaign. We raised the money for 114 acres of beautiful forest land over near Biscay Pond. And we hold no debt. We have an in-town presence that's gifted to us through First National Bank. We have a ton of community support. We write a lot of grants. We get a lot of support. But we're constantly trying to make, ends meet, as most nonprofits are. I will say that all of our funding goes to direct services. When we're not paying for electricity even, we're not paying for the oil bill. These are gifts gifted to us so that we can provide direct intervention services to kids. And it's making a difference. We're seeing teachers come back and say, we need you to come in for this group of 6th graders who just need a little extra support. And so we go in and we design curriculum just for them. And then we have this motto: when the schools are closed, the woods are open. So like for any of you working parents out there, if you have that professional development day and school is closed, there's a pop-up camp that your child can go to. So they have that trusted adult mentor. They're in the woods. They're getting all the supports that they need in that space. And mom, dad, caregiver, grandma can go to work, right? And you've got that childcare, if you will. Trauma-informed childcare. Also, we gave away something like $27,000 in scholarships last year, which is significant because we never turn a child away for inability to pay. And we do this in an anonymous way. It's done through registration. We never ask anybody to show their W-2s. We never ask for any proof of income. It's an honor system. And so there's just absolute trust built in that process between families and our agency. And we are able to, without shame, have families ask for help. It's very lovely.
So kind of 2 questions. One,
Please.
is the referrals primarily come from teachers in school?
Yeah, a lot of people who've gone through our program will refer out friends. So there's parents referring kids. There's schools, there's healthcare providers, there's other organizations, many of whom you've heard from this evening. Yeah.
And that's 600 unique children?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's say that I didn't realize there was a cost associated with participating in the program. So let's say you're a parent and you think your children would benefit from this and they come to you. So what would it cost them to participate, and what is that like? Is it a year, or is it a particular program that they're signing up for?
Great question. We offer many different options for programming. So we have like traditional summer camp adventures, and those to enroll for a week would be a certain cost versus maybe a one-on-one therapeutic adventure in the woods for an hour versus a group pop-up experience would be maybe 10 kids on a day that school is out. So each of those has a different cost associated with it. We keep our costs really low. Again, we're able to do that as an agency because of the other money that we're bringing in through grant funding. And what this looks like in real practice is that a family who just cannot pay, they can't afford, they can sign out for $0 at the end of registration. But say you're a middle-class family who might be able to pay, but you're sending off a kid to college, or you just have other expenses that crept up. You can ask to pay a third of the cost, and that's all you pay. And then if you can pay more the next time, right? Like once your kid's out of college and you have a little extra funds. So we're constantly letting families adjust for what they are able to pay. And then we work very hard behind the scenes to get this robust scholarship fund so that we can always say yes.
Okay.
So the pricing structure is different based on the program that kids are in. But everybody has a chance to get a percentage scholarship if needed, if that helps. So registration fees are collected by our agency, and that does help offset some of our costs.
Just curious, do you have any wild success story of somebody that was really in difficult place and then you sort of turned them around with your program?
Yeah, so many, like we've had kids that you know, have been struggling so intensely with school that they were headed to like a day treatment program, which I don't know if you know can cost a town $100,000 or more. And so, and we've been able to go into that intervention work and help students stay off that path, stay in school and engaged. So we're sort of twofold. We do the proactive work that I'm talking about tonight, and then we can intervene if there's something that is a big problem. One of our great, beautiful stories, I think, is this little kindergarten kid who was dealing with had a lot going on at home, and was walking through the woods, and it was a fresh snow on all these little beautiful evergreen young trees, and he was just commenting on how they were all weighted down, that they were all just drooping with the weight. And his counselor said, you know, we can brush them off, we can lighten them up, these are the things that we can do. And so he just went around the whole forest floor and was like cleaning the snow. So these trees, you know, these limbs were like lighter, and he was realizing the connection between the weight he was feeling and the weight nature feels and how he could renew in nature. And it's like this renewable tool, right, that we all have. We live in rural Maine, we have it accessible to us, but kids aren't always given permission to do that. They don't always see public lands as, they see that sign sometimes as a keep out sign. They're not welcome to those spaces. So we welcome them in there, and then hopefully these toolkits are there for them for the rest of their lives. So building skill that way and connection.
Great works.
Yeah, it's a cool program.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also raised to never show up anywhere without something to give, to offer to my host. So there you are. There's your bit of nature tonight.
To make a motion to accept, yes.
Yeah. It's not a bribe. I just cut them down on my way here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? We just hired a licensed clinical social worker, which is huge for our organization. I don't know if you know that the waiting lists on Maine behavioral health are extremely long. Kids are there. They're seeing providers in offices. That's not always a good fit for a lot of these kids. So we now have a licensed clinical social worker on our payroll. Just started yesterday. We're very excited. But anyway, we are reducing like transportation for parents. We're reducing all these barriers for like getting a kid to and from a program. We'll meet them at school. We'll pick them up. We'll take them to where they need to be, that kind of thing. So really accessible. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any questions?
See any hands up anywhere?
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Right, and we have veggies to table. I'm gonna say this often. Hi.
How are you?
Good, good. How you doing tonight?
Good. So I'm Erica Berman. I'm Executive Director of Veggies to Table. We're a Grow to Donate farm. We're located in Newcastle, but we serve all of Lincoln County. And we were founded in 2019, so it's our 7th season. We founded this because we saw a need that wasn't being filled in our community for healthy, organic, fresh produce. They say it's about 43% of Maine students who require school meals, 1 in 5 kids, 1 in 7 adults who don't have enough food to eat, so they don't have enough healthy food to eat. So we really felt that that was an important thing to be addressing. This is our first year. To be honest, we didn't know we could request town funding, and we didn't know what we should request. So we serve Damariscotta. We calculated that we've grown and donated about 77,000 pounds of produce and given away. We also, so our mission is to grow and donate top quality organic produce and flowers to local people experiencing hunger and needing joy. And we feel really strongly about the flowers. So over the course of what we've done, we've given away over 95,000 flowers. We serve pantries, schools, summer lunch programs, hospitals, doctors' offices, essential workers, kind of anybody who needs food and joy in this area, we are happy to serve. Just last year in 2024, we supplied almost 5,000 pounds of produce and over 5,000 unique flower stems to local partners in Damariscotta, Damariscotta and Newcastle. The Newcastle Pantry, which serves obviously all the people of Damariscotta, the hospital, churches, Farms at the Y, we partner with, giving them produce for their after-school programs. We give our produce through Healthy Lincoln County to sharing tables, where anyone can just take the produce, no questions asked. We also give flowers for those too. So Youngins has one. I believe the library has one too. And we also give flowers to the nursing homes. So we really, another part of our mission that's really important is that we create lasting connections on the farm and beyond through our volunteer program. We have so many volunteers working with our paid crew, and we're trying to break the cycle of loneliness, and especially during COVID, but even now, like we all need to get out there and meet people, and we're in nature and growing, creating this beauty that then they're giving back to the community. And I wrote down how many we had last year alone, over 144 unique volunteers that gave over 4,500 hours on the farm. And we, again, along with our paid crew. So we are trying to pay. So farmers globally don't make a lot of money, unfortunately, and also nonprofit employees don't always make a lot of money. So we are trying to keep our crew and not keep hiring year after year by creating year-round jobs. So we just created a year-round job for our farm manager. If we raise enough money, we'll try to keep on one of the farmers year-round. We're also looking to have a volunteer manager who's a farmer, because the farm manager can't really manage the volunteers as well as because she's managing the whole farm. And I'm also trying to hire a new fundraiser. We get our funding through grants, corporate sponsors, events. We also sell dahlia tubers. We're having a sale that goes live soon. And we individual donors, obviously, too. And again, last year, when we realized about the town funding, we applied to a few of the towns that we supply. And then this year we got the signatures. So we applied here. And I think also one thing that's really important to know is that we're going to be needed more this year than ever. Pantries and schools have lost quite a bit of funding, and taxes are going up on food, and jobs are being lost. So all of the partners that we serve have already told me that they're really worried. So because they're losing the produce and that they would normally get for part of it, because Good Shepherd has lost a decent amount of their funding too. So I think that's mostly my spiel, but I can answer lots of questions.
Yeah, have any questions? Well, oops. Let me get off easy here.
Wow. Thank you.
It's,
All right.
it's impressive with the, with hard to get volunteers. We used to get 140 or so individual volunteers. That's a good number. Yeah.
It's a mix of we partner with Lincoln Academy's Ideal program. We have local volunteers of all ages. We also have woofers, which is a program that brings people in who work on the farm in exchange for food and lodging.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
Lodging is a big problem too, so we're limited to who we can bring in. But yeah, we're really, really blessed that way because, and then we have groups like the Carpenters Boat Shop will come in for a day, or we have groups, corporate groups. We don't have so many because we can't handle them as much as the unique volunteers, but we'll have a business that wants to come in and spend a day volunteering. We actually have to say no to some volunteers because we just can't manage them all.
Can't
So,
handle them all,
which is
yeah,
why we need
yeah.
a volunteer
It's a hard
manager.
problem. You have too many people helping.
Yeah, I'm not complaining at all, but we want everyone to have a good experience when it comes to the farm. I feel it's really important to me. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Yeah. So, right, and then next, I think, yeah, Mid-Coast and Services is the last, yeah. They're hiding in the back there.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, good
Hey, guys.
evening.
Yeah.
My name is Stephanie Hanner. I am from Mid-Coast Conservancy, and I'm joined by my colleague this evening, Zoe Thomas. Mid-Coast Conservancy is a conservation organization with preserves located in Lincoln, Knox, and Waldo counties. We steward nearly 16,000 acres of land, much of it publicly accessible, and with over 90 miles of trails. And we say all are welcome. If you haven't visited one of our preserves, the time is here. Spring is lovely. It was out today. Our mission is to protect and restore vital lands and waters in Mid-Coast Maine. We strive to ensure the health of the natural world that surrounds us for many generations. We believe that connecting people of all ages to the environment helps engage people on multiple levels and create environmental stewards. We have been requesting funds through the municipal funding process from towns in our service area. In Damariscotta, we serve students through Great Salt Bay. And so we are requesting $2,000 to support the program that we have where students from 2 classes come out to Hidden Valley Nature Center. We have partnered with other towns in this endeavor, but this is the first time that we have requested funds from the town of Damariscotta. The funds that we are requesting would directly support this nature-based education program. So I will let my colleague, Zoe Thomas, our nature-based program manager, talk about those aspects and the benefits of that program.
Hi, I'm Zoe Thomas. I'm our nature-based program manager for Mid-Coast Conservancy, where we serve about 170 students from local schools. We currently serve 6 schools. And these are kids who come out not just once to Hidden Valley Nature Center, but they actually come out once a month. They come out with their whole class, including their teacher and a couple of chaperones usually. On our side, we provide a Maine master naturalist who does the education portion. So they work directly with the teachers to come up with curriculum related activities. And this is our signature ecology program for 4th graders. So they start coming in September. We have 2 classes from Great Salt Bay that come each month. And they do all sorts of activities from hiking the trails to learning about tree identification, ecology of the animals in the area, erosion, tracking, everything you can think of and how it all ties together. They adopt a tree at Hidden Valley so they can see how their tree changes throughout the entire year. They use journaling as a way to connect the writing curriculum at school to their experiences at Hidden Valley, taking notes on what we're learning, getting to keep the journal at the end of the year, but also being able to sit at their tree and record and draw what they're experiencing. These kids come whether it is 10 degrees outside and the school doesn't allow recess, but we have them outside all day, or whether it's 80 degrees and happens to be May and they're all sweating because we won't let them wear shorts because of ticks. But we do all of the curriculum that we do is connected to their main studies units that they do through the school. So it ties into state mandated curriculum, but provides them an opportunity. For some schools, it's the only opportunity they get to be outside for an entire day or for lessons. And Great Salt Bay has been a part of this program since its incarnation in, is that the right word? Yeah. Anyway, 11 years ago, inception 11 years ago. In fact, the teacher at Great Salt Bay was one of the ones who was a founding person to create this program. And he continues to bring his class along with another class that comes to Hidden Valley.
We're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Where is Hidden Valley?
Sure. Hidden Valley Nature Center is on Egypt Road in Jefferson. It's a 1,000 acre property with 25 miles of trails, as well as an education facility, which we call the barn, but it's a wood stove heated indoor learning space with a large pavilion that provides an outdoor rainy day space, but still in the elements. And the kids use both that facility as well as the trails that surround it and our day use sites that are in the woods.
215?
What'd you say?
Off of
Up
215.
215, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Or it comes from both sides.
It comes from,
Yes,
yeah,
it
it comes
does.
from both sides.
Edith Rose, the
Yes,
connector from
it comes from
yeah.
Jefferson on one
Like some
side.
big buildings in there where you do.
But we have the barn, which is our education facility. We have a welcome center, which is where my office is. And then we have a couple of cabins on the property as well. But the barn is the only large building for the most part. It's just wilderness out there.
But you do a lot of other things besides with children.
We do.
We do.
We do a lot of things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. We have nature-based programming for adults. We run 2 programs a month that are open to the public that are just run by Maine Master Naturalists for the public to come and learn about anything from porcupines to tracking.
Ferns,
yeah,
mushrooms.
Ferns, mushrooms. We do a ton of programs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do 2 of those a month. We do a Wednesday wander at one of our preserves somewhere in the area during the warm season. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg on our education programs.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just still in the paper.
The closest place I know to go cross-country skiing in the winter with.
Yes,
children.
Yep, we have some wonderful
Yes.
cross-country
Mhm,
skiing.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, people come from all over to cross-country ski at Hidden Valley.
Thank you for doing all this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Everybody, right? Did I leave anybody out? So, good.
I will say there was one other
Yep.
that had submitted paperwork after the Friday deadline that was in the board policy, and it was the Healthy Kids. So I'll give you a copy of their cover letter and
Yes, yeah.
the tally page for the signatures. They did meet it,
Did we get
but they
them?
were late, so there is time to put them on the warrant. I don't know if the board pleases to add it on day one as a referendum. By state statute, we're obligated to go on a warrant at some point.
Right.
If they provided enough signatures and the petition meets the requirements of the state. So the question is, which warrant do you want it on? There is time to add it to the annual town meeting warrant. The question would be whether or not you want to have it be on day one as a referendum vote, in which case we'll have to have another public hearing on the warrant. You could add it as part of the floor vote on day 2 without an additional public hearing, because there'll be opportunity for people to discuss and talk then. Or you can have same day special town meeting and have it be done that way.
I think we should
That
do
would have
whatever's
its own warrant.
easiest. Whatever's easiest.
Easiest thing would be just to put it on the warrant for the town meeting itself, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
would
we
just do
should.
that because
The easiest thing is get it in on time.
that too.
well, that's
that,
true.
yeah.
There's someone every year that that doesn't get it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't have another.
Okay, but they got it in, so.
Yeah.
And
state
you
statute.
didn't get it in.
We'll add it on as a
Make them
floor
that-
vote.
Yeah, do we need to make a motion for that, Carol?
I don't think so. It's just yeah,
It just needs to be
procedural.
added on.
Yeah. You've got to add it somewhere. You
Yeah,
just have to
someplace.
accept it and add it and.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good there, Andy?
Yep.
All right. Well, okay, let's see, we've got our public, I think we're public hearing, everybody good? We're on, all right, head nods, get this meeting moving. But before I close the public hearing, I'd like to, thank them, everybody for coming in for that. It's always very informative and it's nice learning a little bit about each agency. And I think what's sometimes fascinating to me is how a lot of the agencies work together. They all know each other, like we talk to them and this and that. It's kind of cool. So, all right. I close the public hearing, unless you're.
Well, I think it's worth a quick conversation, especially with the fire chief here, Article 51. The question regarding the bond for the ladder truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those are that's the treasurer's warrant that kind of explains to folks what the outlay would be, what the bond principal amount they'd be seeking. So the estimated cost today of the truck is about John's coming.
Right.
Almost 1.7, I think.
1.7. Come on up, John.
Right.
Is what they're currently going for
And this is,
as of a month ago, so I have not gotten.
If you went out and contracted today and signed it, that would be the price, pretty close.
As
Maybe.
of a month and a half ago at that point.
Maybe.
So we've only just started talking and we've only had a chance to talk to one vendor, so they indicated that our 1.76 million would probably get most of what we needed.
Okay.
They had two trucks in the works that they had ordered that weren't obligated to a department, and those were around 1.6.
Okay.
But that would, if we were to jump through the hoops and get those signed up, they would come within a year, which was way earlier than we were
Right.
anticipating.
Yeah.
Both from a budgetary perspective and from the truck age perspective. So he said the 1.76 should be a pretty decent number. However,
Do we need it that
I think
soon?
there's a lot of uncertainty.
Sorry.
No, we don't. If we were to order one from that vendor today, it was a 36 to 40 month build time,
Right.
which puts it right in what we were looking at.
Okay.
So that's why we're starting this process this early, because it's, again, a three-year build cycle. So with the discussions that Andy and I had, we have the number a little higher than we hope the price comes in at, just because there's a lot of steel and aluminum that go into these trucks.
Oh.
And there's also uncertainty with the motors, because the EPA guidelines have been pushed out for what the motors are going to have to meet, but that doesn't mean in 3 years that won't be back in play again. So this gives us a little bit of wiggle room with the uncertainties.
So does the 1.3 million bond assume that we continue to put money into this account for the next 3 years?
It doesn't assume that we put it into the account, but there are 4 other major apparatuses that are in that garage that need funding for future purchases. So what the difference there represents is the amount of money that's in the capital reserve today, plus the amount being recommended and proposed at town meeting this year.
Okay.
Would be used as a down payment, which would bring that balance down pretty low. But that was in part is to put that deposit up front, be able to, with this approval, sign a contract with them, committing the rest of the money. And what we had talked about, part of the increase this year in the truck reserve and then for the next 2 years was to be able to get us to the level where the annual debt service payment would equal what we were contributing to the reserve, less what needs to continue to stay in there. So it'd be about 150 grand is what we were estimating would be able to be shifted from the reserve allocation to the debt service without a major tax shift. And so that was the plan with that. And, with interest rates, I mean, it's so hard to know. This would give us the opportunity within that time frame between approval and the time we need to pay to take advantage of if interest rates become favorable again in that period, or we wait until the end there and hope they're good then. But it's an assumed rate there of 4 and
4.5.
up to 4.5. But again, these are all assumptions based on whatever we come back with from a bond agency. And it was estimating a 15, these were all based on a 15-year payback. And I can't remember if you were aiming more for 10 or 15, but it kind of gives us the option to get up to 15 years.
I mean, I think I told this to Andy when we were talking, when I kind of took over, we were in a spot where we were paying for 4 trucks at the same time, because what happens when you go into debt service is that then a better interest rate comes around, you roll over all the debt that you have and extend the term out. So, we could get into a position where you never pay anything off. So we were in a really good spot until the prices continued to spiral. So I would be an advocate for trying to get to the 10-year, personally.
Yeah, that interest rate, the savings are pretty substantial.
This is a 15-year term, which
That's what those numbers reflect.
and that translates to 150,000 or so a year in terms of the debt. You just said that.
That's what
Yeah.
I don't have all the, I believe that it came close, right? Because you'd be financing the 1.3 plus an additional, so 1.6 over 15.
Yeah, I think when I did the numbers before, I was in the 3.8 range for 10 years on the 1.2 million range was about 150,000. Don't quote me, but it was in that range.
The annual debt service payment between difference between a 10 and a 15, it would be.
I think with 10, it might get us closer to the one, I mean, right as it is right now, 1.6 million over 15 years, you're, 110,000 or so.
Okay.
Right, a year. I mean, it all depends on how we.
10-year would bump you up to 150. Is
Closer to
that
that.
okay?
I mean, it all depends on whether you want to have level debt payments or level payments. I mean, and how that interest will accrue. I mean, the main municipal bond bank does have a calculator that kind of shows those two different payoff options. And I use theirs to model it. The caveat being with them, they assume increases over that 15-year period or 10-year, whatever term you put in there. Not knowing how those get rolled over. You might find a bank that just locks in the flat rate. You might find the bond bank's estimates were high and they might go lower, but they might go higher. So it's.
The other piece of this is kind of a longer term plan, looking at adopting a 3-truck fleet. If we estimate 30 years, that ends up being getting a truck every 10 years. So then again, if we go to 15 years, you're guaranteeing it's going to overlap with the next truck purchase, whereas 10 years, there might be a small or no overlap. So that's the other reason
Do they typically last? The trucks?
We've had several trucks that have made it to the 30+ years. With everything being more electronic and diesel engines, motors that aren't built the same way that they were 25, 30 years ago. I don't know. But the 30-year approach is certainly well in excess of what NFPA recommends. So NFPA recommends trucks serve frontline for 10 to 15 years and then go into reserve status for 5 to 10 years. So if you look at that, that's 15 to 25 years that a truck would be in service. So 30 is in excess of what that is. Now the standard is also built around that because every so many years the standards change, and a lot of that has to do with the new safety regulations. So the idea is if the standard's changing every, say, 5 years, and you get 15 years out, you're now 3 standards old, and they consider 3 standards old not to be compliant at all with the new standard. So there's different ways than just age, but you look at a 30-year-old car or a 30-year-old truck, you start to get some significant issues. So
Safety features and all of the things.
yeah, we just spent
Age out.
$20,000 on engine 1 to rebuild the tank cradle because it had rusted out, and that was after 15 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's Maine.
It,
We have the weather, we have.
and the newer trucks, they're all coming galvanized steel instead of mild steel. So they're being built, at least frame wise and whatnot, to survive for longer. But the electronics piece is the one that's really hard to gauge.
Some of those pump components 30 years later can become difficult to rebuild. I mean, I know you get into some of those 80s and 90-year models, and those parts have become much harder to find. And then you're talking about rebuilding and putting new systems in this old truck, and just it gets complicated quick.
You see a lot of electronics get, obsoleted by manufacturers in like 10 years. So, we run into that just on the automotive side of it. So if you got a truck that's been in service for 20 and you can't get a module for it, then you can completely sideline it.
Right.
There's no fire equipment that's being built specifically to be fire equipment. It's all commercial stuff. So the same issues that the commercial truck industry have, we have. The difference is they're buying a chassis and then building a custom truck on top of it. So we're not immune from any of that.
Yeah, same stuff. Yeah.
Right.
You guys have you had much troubles with the diesel? I don't know if you've got new enough ones that have the filter
Depth fluid
systems on them, that depth fluid. I know, public works vehicles, highway trucks, tend to have issues. They choke out because there's a lot of idle time.
Yeah.
And you guys on a call are doing a lot of idle. Obviously, you have to keep the trucks running and the pumps are working.
Yeah. Well, so we have 2 trucks that have 2 different systems. We have engine 3, which is an international. So they chose to pay the fine instead of being fully compliant, and it was cheaper for them. So that truck does have a particulate filter, but that one tends to be driving a little bit more. So if you get up to the temperature where the exhaust can do the burn, it will typically do I think it's a level 2 burn or something when you're driving. And then engine 2 is the one that has the newer system. It has DEF fluid. We've had to do a couple of regens on it, but if you kick it into like a high idle or whatnot, then it tends to have a better chance of doing that while you're using it instead of waiting.
I'm glad you guys know what you're talking about.
It's just a lot of headache. I mean, it can be, it is. There's no fault of the vehicle. It's just this filter system that has to be in there to meet those.
There's been plenty of fire trucks that have burned up because it goes into a regen when they're parked out in a field somewhere. It catches the grass on fire underneath the truck.
When they do a regen, it's a high idle. Basically you burn the exhaust system out, the particulate filters. So they run the idle up, they load it. And you don't want to stand anywhere near the exhaust. It's hot.
really hot.
Yeah, it's really hot. And then the other issue is with diesel exhaust fluid is a whole nother nightmare. So the DEF fluid systems, it's an injection into the exhaust. It adds a whole nother system to the vehicles, and they have injectors, they have heaters, they're a nightmare. So a lot of places that remove them against EPA wishes, but they can be, and it's very expensive. You're talking like you could have a particulate filter on a commercial chassis that costs $20,000 to replace it. It's super expensive. Yeah, it was crazy expensive.
The little front end loader we have, that was a $7,600 filter just for that little machine.
Right. So that little machine, yeah, it's crazy.
And if you don't catch it in time, it hits a level where it won't even allow you to drive the vehicle.
Yeah, they derate, so they go into limp home mode. So you sit there on scene with a truck that will just idle and can't run a pump.
Supposedly they fixed that so that if you're running the pump, it won't stop. But then once you take the pump out of gear,
you can't drive home.
You can't drive home. So
yeah. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Any questions on the bond part of this?
Yep.
The new truck will have to have an EPA compliant system.
It's funny that, I started thinking about bonds, and we have this one outstanding already essentially today, and then this one. I'm trying to think sort of over the next 10 years, when you think about the town, what other bonding might we do other than outside of the fire department?
Roads,
right?
Yeah.
And on your road.
Building.
Yeah, on your road plan, if the grants and all these other things don't come through, then the obvious way to plug that hole would be a bond, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're obligated to fix them, as we all know, and
Yeah.
there comes a point, I mean, most of them aren't going to be grant eligible unless you're doing significant drainage improvements or utilities underneath them and get that covered and you do it as a byproduct of it, but
Because you supplied that kind of update on in terms of what the MDOT is doing, and so that was just sort of relevant. So
yeah, I mean, you run to the point where, in some way, my hope is that we're able to get our, obviously it'd be nice to be able to fund the capital plan to meet our needs, but we're way behind on the road part of it, and a lot of towns are, but can we get to the point where we can, similar to what we're trying to do with the fire truck purchase, is shift that burden over to make a debt service payment without having a major tax increase in that particular year,
right,
and still have enough to fund the ongoing things that keep popping up on you. So we're a couple of years away before we can probably get to that.
Right.
I think Newcastle's somewhere around $800,000 or $900,000 a year on a road capital plan annually. So it's taken them a while to get there, but they've gotten to the point where they've been able to build a very healthy annual appropriation to invest in those. They got summer maintenance, the same miles of road we have. 16 miles over there. And for us, we're putting about $200,000, I think, is the request for this year. And that's up from, I think 75 just 4 years ago. So I think it's just trying to get those to a point where we can see where that's going. So we can have that conversation. What's cheaper? Can we fund it with cash at no interest and earn interest on it while we accrue it, or pay it later?
Right.
So Andy, would it be worth just mentioning kind of our thought process on the truck itself?
Sure.
For a second. I'm not sure if I mentioned this during the budget preparation, but our plan is, and Daryl's been to our one meeting so far, to try to have a specification ready so that we could go out to bid before the town meeting, making sure everyone's aware that we don't have funding in place because trucks have been going up twice a year. So we're hoping to have everything in place that if the vote goes positive to allow the bond, that we'd be in a position to be able to do that in July, both to get on the schedule and also to hopefully miss the next price increase. So that's what we're working towards. So you'll probably see us come with a specification to get approved before the truck is approved, but it's just to try to have everything together in case it gets approved. And if it doesn't, then we have all the work that we can brush off and use again later. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good. Anything else in the, anything jump out over in public hearing on the warrant? Mainly focused on the board, anything jumped out?
Everything else was roughly the same. I didn't, I don't think I included, Josh mentioned at the last meeting, there had been a separate article that afforded an additional amount of, kind of an additional contingency to come out of the fund balance if necessary. I didn't include, I didn't hear that as a unanimous, let's put it in there, but we can certainly consider doing
Yeah,
that
we,
again.
I think we talked
Thought
about
about
that,
waiting.
but we
Didn't go anywhere, so.
didn't go to, yeah, I think.
My feelings were hurt.
Yeah, he was, it's terrible. Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, I think we
thought
have.
about it for days.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have another way around that, so it wasn't a big deal, so, yeah, okay.
I think that was the only real changes.
Yeah. Date issues anyway, so, all right. Everybody good on these? Warrant? Any questions on the warrant before we move on? No, big crap. Leslie's out there. Leslie, I'm gonna help you out here in a few minutes. All right. We're gonna. All right.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing. We're gonna close the public hearing. All right, then, really quickly. I'm gonna call the Board of Assessors to order. We have, we'll go with that. We have 2 action items I think we can get through pretty quickly. And then, once I call the board order, I'm gonna ask for to move things around a little bit, so.
Yes, yeah.
So, all right, so we've called the Board of Assessors meeting to order. No, did I even call the, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Good, give me thanks. April 2nd, Board of Assessors meeting, call to order. We're all here.
Okay.
2 action items. We have an abatement, and supplements here. I just gotta find them. All right, there we go, so. All right. They're right in front of me.
So, I can make a motion.
Go ahead, Josh. Yeah, if you're.
The abatement for Todd and Heather Savage, map 3, lot 17, account 850. And the abatement amount of $623.45.
Thank you, Josh. Stan's gonna second that. I see his hand go up. No, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, good enough. You want the second one?
I'll do the second one if you want.
The, yeah.
Supplemental tax.
Yep.
For Daniel and Sandra Day, map 22, lot 55, account 278. Supplemental tax amount is $6,948.20.
Second? And, oh, I'll give it to Dan. I said, I'll give it to Dan. Dan got that one. I'll give him, we're on a roll here. So.
Just trying to move it along here.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Hold on a second here.
That
What
was
you got?
tree
What'd you
growth.
miss?
That was just taking it out of tree growth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the other pad at the top.
Oh, actually, there's another. It says
There's a
given under
different
our
number at the
hands.
top.
We get
Oh,
different
no.
hands too. That has to be different.
6981
It
versus
does.
6948.
2024. Yeah, we got a date there.
Yeah,
Is it
I
in the
just-
map number?
I'm looking at the supplemental tax. Yeah.
I
Two
go with that
different numbers.
That 6948, which he's got in the letter to them too.
Yeah, so because the top number.
This
Oh,
one
yeah,
might-
yeah,
is
this
different.
one might not be, one of them isn't right.
694820 is the right one by the looks of the letter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep, yeah,
Okay.
all right, good catch.
And there's that date
So
down here. Is that supposed to be today?
there is a
Given under our
date,
hands.
Dan
March-
pointed out, March 19th, 2024 is on there, so you just need to correct that. But-
We'll let him know.
Okay, all right, good. Discussion, all those in favor? Okay, good. Any discussion items?
No.
All right, I'm going to, motion to adjourn the Board of Assessors meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Josh made motion,
Second.
Andrea seconded. All those in favor? All right. And with that, gavel, chunk, I'm going to call the Select Board, the Town of Damariscotta, to order for April 2nd. And if it pleases the board, and if it pleases Leslie sitting in the back,
Mhm.
All right, let's roll.
Yes.
I'd like to move Darling Marine Center up to the first thing on the agenda. Is that all right with everybody? Okay.
That is
All right,
great.
good.
Right.
Unless you want to hang out to the end.
Oh, gosh, poor thing.
My family
You're
will be
coming in, we
very
just don't
happy
want to
to
burn
have
you out. so.
For dinner, yeah. Thank you all very much for allowing me to come provide some updates. I'm Heather Leslie from Newcastle, and I serve on the Shellfish Committee with 5 other members of the community in Newcastle and Damariscotta. And I'm looking to Andy because I'm not quite sure where to start. Could I start with the handout? that people have?
Get kind of an overview of what you've been up to.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
So I gave him a
handout.
copy of.
Excellent.
We have your letter.
So yes, and this handout probably looks familiar. We talked about it last fall, but I just wanted to bring it back to give a little bit more context and share a couple of updates of where we're at. So this is a community science program that the Shellfish Committee really was the impetus for. The Shellfish Committee members since 2019 have been asking questions about the state of the resource, and more recently, we've been brainstorming as a committee about potential restoration strategies for both oysters and soft shell clams in the river. And so the work that you see at the top of that figure, it's all continuing. Initially, it was grant funded, and all the great discussion about sustainability is consistent with how we're thinking about this program, that to keep the ecological monitoring going, to continue collating local knowledge of harvesters and others. I'm actually rolling it into the classes that I teach at the Darling Marine Center. So I no longer direct the facility. I'm a regular professor. I conduct classes, I do research, and so I have a lot of great students who can help us keep these activities going, but it means I also need to sequence them in a way that the students can get involved and we can invite the high school students in and hopefully other community volunteers too. So we're in the process of figuring out how to keep all that stuff going while also talking as a committee about what new things we want to do. And then that's an ongoing discussion. And then in the midst of all that, we were fortunate at the Darling Center to receive funding from an internal university source to encourage more community engagement in this work. And the grant is specifically around developing arts-based activities like visual arts programs. Lincoln Academy is a core partner in this, and Maya Crosby and I have done a bit of brainstorming, but we want to bring it to the faculty and students soon. So working with Lincoln Academy, working with hopefully the Historical Society, that was a new idea I heard tonight, to bring a broader array of community members into this programming. And so it's likely to look quite different how that might work than it has before. We may be inviting folks into a storytelling event, like the event that was held at Waldo Theater last June, where members of the community came together and shared their stories. Some of them were environmental, some of them weren't. We were also talking about doing some theater productions, and again, are in contact with local community theater groups about that. So I wanted to share that good news that we have some internal funding that will enable myself and another professor to recruit a graduate student to work on this project with us. But I'm essentially your contact for the next year till that person gets through their classes in Orono and can join us here on the coast. So I'm hoping we can move this forward bit by conversations like this and with the Shellfish Committee and in other venues that seem logical to you. And I'm not sure how to say this politely, but not everybody enjoys meetings like this as much as we all do. So part of the impetus for doing this art-based work is to try to get people involved who might be more interested in a storytelling event or excited to see photographs that their kid took.
And if you have other ideas that you think might fit into that space, it would be great to hear them. But it'll be sort of a series of experiments over the next couple of years.
Sounds great.
I had also provided them with just your email kind of outlining the reason why I asked if you could do an update.
Yes.
About the need to have some towns sign off on the community science
Yes, so
program you've got going.
there's a series of administrative steps that I'm still learning because the process seems to be shifting at the state level. But the current instructions, as I understand them, are that for this program to move forward, particularly the ecological monitoring, where we're putting boxes out in the intertidal zone and leaving them for 6 months. So we have to have Army Corps permits. Those are in progress, but we also need permits because they're in the intertidal. We need permission from each of the towns. And the Department of Marine Resources told me it would be fine to ask for this permission from the Shellfish Committee. However, the last time we met as a Shellfish Committee, we didn't have our chair or vice chair available to sign off. And it also just seemed like a good opportunity to come and update all of you. So what I think I need for the department to put these boxes out in the intertidal to gather baby clams so that we can count them in the fall with the students and see how clam recruitment is going if we protect them in the box. I think I need a letter saying that's okay with you, or a letter from the Shellfish Committee. But again, it seems great to go to the real authority here. And I'll be doing the same thing in South Bristol tomorrow night, although starting from a different place because we haven't had the same sort of collaboration to date with South Bristol, but it seems high time that I let South Bristol know what we're doing since we're located in South Bristol. And in the past, we have put things like these boxes out in the intertidal, and now I understand the department wants permission, which is all good, right? So tomorrow night I'll be having a similar update with the South Bristol Select Board.
We need a motion for that?
No, yeah. Well, I mean,
We have board support. I don't know why
That'd be a good measure, yeah.
we write the letter to approve them doing it because we need to have it done. Figure out what's going on.
All right,
A second.
there's seconds. Any other discussion? Those in favor? All right, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that's.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to, I want to provide a little more context on the logic. So this is because we're putting stuff out in the intertidal, everybody needs to know about it and approve. It's the boxes for the soft shell clam babies. And then we also put out a artificial surface that attracts the oyster spat, the oyster young. And we've done this in a number of places over the last couple of years, but now we're again, in the interest of sustainability, we're just going to do it at Chadbourne, in the upper part of the estuary, in Lowe's Cove, and try to get an ongoing sense of how clam and oyster recruitment might be shifting. Because what we see in our surveys and what the harvesters see when they're out on the flats is that there's fewer soft shell clams and fewer oysters than there were even a few years ago. And we know that these things go up and down. But if you look at the long-term trends, which maybe we can talk about another day, we've seen a long-term decline in soft shell clam abundance from the landings data. And we've also seen a pretty significant rise in wild oyster landings. So not just this is related to, but different from the farms. We're seeing more wild harvested oysters through time as well. But right now, both seem to be at pretty low levels, and we're trying to unravel why exactly that is.
In that regard, you're tracking the population of the green crabs.
We are.
How is that fluctuating?
Yes, and we don't need a permit for that. Well, we do, but it says unlimited.
Yeah.
And we don't take them anywhere. And so for our particular surveys, we don't need a permit. We haven't done it long enough to say, yeah, we need to keep counting. I'll check, Tom, and see but the last time I looked at those data, I think we really only have 2 years of decent surveys. And so it was more that there were spatial differences, and there's definitely seasonal differences, but I wouldn't say, you know, one year to a next, that there's a big difference. I'll go back and look. Yeah.
Yeah, so as I was reading your letter to Andy,
Yeah.
I guess, you know, a couple things popped out. One was U.S. National Science Foundation, NOAA grants. Are you worried? Because we're hearing NOAA grants have already been pulled and there's
Yeah.
been serious cutbacks at the federal level. Well, I guess.
Right, so.
So you worried
Yep.
about either of those or? grants at this
Yes,
point?
but I try to worry about things I can control.
Okay.
So I'm most worried that the people I work with, particularly the students, feel supported in what they're doing, whomever is providing the funding to pay their stipend. So there's a lot of uncertainty and disruption for the students right now, particularly the ones that are purely grant funded. So far, the funding, so this work has always been kind of a patchwork and funded by a lot of in-kind local support and in-kind or local donations, I would say. So this work is not directly jeopardized by that federal funding uncertainty. However, we have a pending proposal that would, the whole point was to figure out how to sustain what's in that 2 pages. And I'm not at all optimistic that that proposal will be funded. I think we probably had a 25% chance of it getting funded in a different time. And now I'm not even sure the programs, it still exists. So we're just making plans to move forward without that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Always Heather, thanks for coming in.
Sure,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
I apologize. I think I called you by your.
Oh, that's okay.
Time.
I'll answer to anything.
Yeah. I realized I was like, no, Daryl, don't do that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want to entertain the structural assessment?
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest that. So, yeah, we're just gonna keep bouncing around. We do have, well, the chief's been here for an awful long time. We're gonna call him up again so we can, yeah, you're back up on the docket here. We're gonna bounce down to official action items for structural assessment.
Yeah.
With the fire department, the building reserve. So, yeah.
That's on page 77.
Yeah, it's back there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's the last 2 pages. Welcome back, chief.
Um,
All right.
John had shared with you and during the budget capital section, this year's budget, some of these structural questions. So I guess I'll call them at the moment, regarding cracking in the walls and the floors and,
Yeah.
so he had gotten
Found a
quote from WBRC to do an assessment and an evaluation, provide some next steps.
like a radio station. Radio station. It's a radio station.
No, Daryl, it's
Yeah.
not WKRP.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so this is an assessment that needs to be done. We got a
This
quote.
is just for the
Seems-
assessment, right?
Right, but
Yeah.
we have to know what we got, so.
Absolutely.
And.
Yeah, and I don't know if it will necessarily give us immediate answers or if it's still, they might come back and say, we need to look at this again in a year and see if things are moved,
This could be a stage one.
So it's not something you can like rectify now? You need to, though.
Well, assessment.
Right
first.
now,
First.
yeah, right now, I don't know if we have, if they're gonna come in and say there's anything particularly wrong. Or if it is wrong, what we need to do to fix it.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting out of this that they'll come and do an assessment. They'll say, these are the areas that we either need to watch, these are areas that are problems, or,
We need to excavate this corner and get underneath. it again.
right. So I'm expecting that they'll come up with a plan to either do a more thorough analysis of areas that are concerning or whatnot. This is kind of like the first step, I would say.
So it's, this kind of first stage, because I mean, best case scenario, they come in and say, hey, you're fine, paint over the cracks, move on, but there's a good chance they're gonna recommend some further
There's some
assessment.
sinking and stuff going on someplace, right?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of started this right now is we're looking at spending a fair bit of money on the floor. And a couple of the cracks around the hose tower are more than just little cracks, so that, when we started really, when you look at something all the time, you don't notice something, and then when you really start looking at something, sometimes it looks a little different, and I think that's kind of where we're at. So they'll come and look at, how the floor is pulled away from the walls. They'll look at the cracks, and especially around the hose tower and the masonry block between the bays and the rest of the station. And, give us their opinion if they're concerned, and if they are, then what we need to do to either fix it or find out if it's a problem.
Yeah.
So do you want a motion?
Yeah, we need to, we're
remove-
requesting, taking money from the capital reserve for the fire station.
Fire
reserve,
building, 3,800.
to pay for this.
You recommended 4,000 in your manager's letter.
Yeah, well, there are some
travel
expenses that
expenses.
might be in addition to the $3,800. This is the reimbursable expenses, 1.15 times the direct cost, and it was for travel, so.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve $4,000 from the capital reserve for purposes of building assessment, structural assessment.
Second.
Fire building.
On the fire building.
I know what you meant, right? Yeah, perfect. I'll second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 4 of us, 1 abstains?
Yep.
How'd I know that? Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to contact them or is there something you can
Just
sign?
sign it and send it over. I'll send it
No.
on the email.
To be done.
Just go through my contact on it.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Anything else or?
No, you can get out of here.
Dinner.
Yeah, you probably got 9 other things to do, so, yeah.
Thank you.
For this fire.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, folks, let's start, let's get back to the beginning of the.
Oh, no.
Take it away from him. No. We'll get back to the beginning here. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. We have minutes, 26th, 5th, 12th, and 19th, I believe.
I'll make a motion to approve all the minutes.
I looked at them all, they all.
I didn't see any issues.
I
Not finding any issues.
I didn't see
Okay,
anything.
Tom made a motion to approve all 4 of the minutes. I'll second. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor? Minutes are approved.
I have to abstain. I wasn't here on the 5th.
And you're gonna abstain from, yeah, we'll leave you out. Let's want to do them all separate. Too late.
Wait.
No,
All right, awesome. Financials, everybody get a chance to take a look?
Yep.
We have payroll, 46. I'll move payroll, warrant number 46.
I'll second.
Thank you, Josh. And, move accounts payable number 47.
Second.
Tom's gonna second. And, wait, didn't vote on the
You
first one, did I?
gotta vote on the.
Holy moly, I got ahead of myself. Thank you.
Man,
Jeez, we're getting sleepy here. So, yeah, so let's go back a little bit. We moved, payroll warrant number 46. Josh seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, I'll try this again. I'm gonna make a motion to move, accounts payable number 47.
second.
Tom seconded. All those, any
I got a-
discussion?
I
All
got a
those in
deja-
favor?
Deja vu moment. here.
Holy moly. All right. Yeah, keep me on track, guys. Yeah, we're getting peckish here with no food, so. All right, what do we miss on citizen comments? You had,
I intended to share with you the actual letter that came from Senator King, and I'm looking through your seeing.
yeah, I meant to ask you and I didn't see it, so it's fine.
So the bad news was just to summarize the short letter was letting us know that with the passage of the continuing resolution of the federal budget through September 30th, all CDS requests for FY25 have
Right.
been eliminated.
Yeah.
So there are none. National.
Nothing being awarded from FY25's budget.
Okay.
So, I guess it's okay. I included this because the portal is now open for FY26. Who knows what comes of a budget for FY26, but Congress does have the portals open. Senator Collins's office had let us know Friday night that was available. So I've planned on dusting off the application you've got here. The numbers are the same from what our perspective. I reached out to Coastal Rivers. They're on board to resubmit with us on this. I'm just waiting to hear back from DOT as to whether they're gonna, I'd like to get that letter updated at least. The condition, being that why they need to be included is it's a transportation project. It's not a state road. There's crossage and reasons why it's important. If awarded, they were willing to put it on the state transportation improvement plan. And that met the satisfaction of the requirements last year when we reviewed it. So assuming that hasn't changed, haven't gone through all those documents. Don't even know if those are up yet. We're just looking for that same sign off from them again. So as long as the board's okay with that, trying to make a swing again for the Church Street, Hodgson
Yeah,
Street improvements.
definitely.
Yeah.
We'll try it again.
Yep.
Third
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. All right. And yeah.
Something
jump
about
up your report,
Miles.
Andy.
Was there
Yeah.
something about Miles? Yeah. What else? Oh, Andy's report.
Yeah, I see a pretty good long report here. This time, does anybody have anything? We're on 59. Yeah, for the manager's report. Yeah.
I can go through them, but I'm assuming if there's any
I read them.
questions you'll raise.
I've read. Has anybody jumped anything out? Anybody?
No.
Any questions? Okay.
I think the only thing I would highlight, Cheryl and I have taken a fair amount of time to try and get our report in for the state local fiscal recovery funds, the
Yep.
ARPA money. We were able to do that. We did file it under Matt's login credentials because he's still attached to the account as the
Right.
administrator. So we're trying to now rectify that. Made notes of it. You know, we were guided by someone who was very generous with their time at the state controller's office. It's their sole job to report out what the state does with their funds. So very helpful on that. We didn't get the 23 report in. So we got the 24 in, and we're gonna get the 25, what's due at the end of April in, best we can. We're not getting a whole lot of response from the federal email accounts that we're asked to ask the questions of.
Yeah.
Tickets been created, but no one's really answering on the other side. So we'll do the best we can to get the next one in. The one thing we did have to do, wasn't, I guess, fully aware when we have to obligate the funds. We had gone through in December to get the town's approval and let the board decide how to spend the remaining 12,500. Obligating, I was advised to basically create a purchase order for ourselves. So I went out, found the things, put them in a cart, created a purchase order essentially for the file. And this gentleman was saying, well, no, you really need contractual obligations. Are you obligated to pay this? I was like, well, no, I didn't hit purchase. And so I said, if we get audited on that, you know, it wouldn't work. So is there anything else that we spent the money on that did qualify? I said, well, Miles Street.
Right.
Yeah, Miles Street was a $500,000 project and
Right.
we only used 185 towards it. And so he said, well, you can use it towards that then. So hopefully that was okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It does mean we'll have to use the building reserve to fix the doors, you know, not the 12,500, and
Right.
the purchase and upgrade of these will have to come out of, again, technology reserve probably.
Reserve.
But otherwise it would have been money we'd have to give back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we had a project we could shift it into.
Yeah,
so-
that's
Puts another 12.5 back into the
Yeah.
paving reserve that was otherwise
Yeah.
gonna.
Okay.
be
No,
spent.
that's smart move, Andy. Thank you. Okay. Can jump on anybody? Oops.
No.
Thank you for the updates, Andy. Oh. You did,
Well, you want to mention that you got approval for the, delay in the parking lot?
yeah, do you want to move into that? Because you've got some items here regarding the parking lot stuff. that we
yeah,
Didn't
there's-
have on the docket, so, or on the.
Yeah.
Talked a little bit about it earlier.
We back into the official items again.
Yeah, we've kind of, right, we've gone through citizens' comments, we got town manager's report. What do you want to be in
If
right
it
now?
pleases the board, I do have two items, one that was included in the packet, I just didn't have on the agenda. Which was page 75, Gartley and Dorsey, Miles Street reconstruction, their oversight proposal. I'd propose the board consider using money from its paving reserve to pay for this oversight. Work with them. They did it on the last one. I think it's really important to have
Yes.
those
Yeah.
folks on there to answer questions and just prove that we're doing, we don't doubt the company that's coming to do the work. We wouldn't have hired them, but it's always good to have that verification that it's going in appropriate or proper.
Yeah, with these
Yes.
projects that are the
Yeah.
size and scope that we need eyes on the field there, so,
Definitely.
yeah.
So I think I'd suggest up to $15,000. If we do need to do test borings in there, they mentioned there's an additional cost for that. Their estimates between 10,000 and 12,500. So at 15,000, that would give you a little flexibility if you do need to run special tests. Anything not spent would stay in the reserve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, to approve up to $15,000 to engage Gartley and Dorsey as project oversight and allow the town manager to sign and engage in the contract. How's that sound?
Yes. Second.
Good. Andrea seconds. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right, good enough.
The other one I put on your desk
Mhm.
or in front of you for this evening, Quicker Construction, we finally, after submitting it first in August, finally have in writing approval for an extension for the parking lot project till the end of May.
Yep.
Thank heavens.
It's under the wire.
I mean, April is not a good month to assume we're gonna pave, and here we are.
Well, and think about
A couple days in, it's been terrible.
trying to go for an extension beyond that, right? How long did it take to get to this point?
Right.
And then
Since August.
when you're asked about, hey, let's move it out even, start in the spring. I mean, we would never have that go ahead. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that extension's been approved with that. I mean, I wasn't gonna try and put some of these change orders through, in theory, if we didn't have all that extra time, but if we have the month, the additional month almost, pull over. These items are all things that I think I've brought to you at some point and said, these are the things that we'd like to add in there. Putting the bollards back in, where ArtSake is, that there was 2 there. One had remained when Crooker came on site.
Yeah.
One didn't get replaced from the first phase. Our building of the bathroom's been hit, so we're talking about putting one on each corner, which would narrow that up a little bit. Still, people could walk through their cars, get a little tight. But things been hit from the side, from the front already. So for the bollards, Taco Alley, that asphalt through there, that pedestrian easement through there, it should be improved. And while they're doing all this, we asked for the price for that. We ran the sleeve for the water line under the parking lot in phase 1. Looking at the budget, I just asked for the number. I think we should go for this, and have them install it and actually put the pump in on the park side now.
Absolutely.
And then we talked before about the handicap park area down by the pump station. So they propose putting reclaim in there. It's something instead of asphalt. It's still somewhat permeable, but firm enough for access. And then the final striping was never included in the base bid that had gone out. And so we'd asked them to include that again, looking at where the budget sits with that. I did get an additional number for the price of sod. We asked them what that would be. So it's an additional $13,000+ to put sod in there.
Yeah.
Talking with Daryl earlier, and we met on Monday. I met on Monday with Revision and CMP and our engineer and some Crooker about the charging stations. I don't think the timing is such that Revision's going to be coming in after all of this is done. Given that they'll be coming in after, I'd hate to see us think about putting the sod down in this case, just to rip some of it back up.
No.
And the reality of, and Josh probably knows best of all of us, what it's going to take to get this sod treatment to really grow. Alternatively, they've got it priced for loam and seed, and it to be hydro seed is what they're anticipating. And they put the right application down, that stuff will grow in 2 weeks and start growing grass pretty well.
Still need water.
Still need water.
Right.
The water.
If it's not naturally, but I think my understanding is the difference between that and sodding, it's going to be very different in terms of what it needs for water. And so if the weather falls right, you might get just what you need. But if you're just got sod out there, you're really putting water to it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of staff time to go down every day. The hydro seed's a little more forgiving in that sense. Our biggest challenge, I think, will likely be keeping people off of it.
Right.
There aren't footprints through the fresh sod.
Right. The foot traffic is
Or
what's
through the loam.
gonna get you.
If you had sodded it, it'd be a little more forgiving that way. You just have to water it a lot, but you could have people walking on it.
Are we not putting a path in?
We
Thought we were gonna put a path in and put,
don't have a lot of space there. We got benches. The path that's there now is not really
that's terrible.
adequate.
No.
So no, we
We're
weren't.
gonna do a path and then just some grass on the side.
The easiest thing through this was to do grass unless the board directs me to.
No, I
pick
think
another
we
option.
had some different discussions about
Yeah.
doing like oyster shells and things like that at some
Yeah.
point, but I think we kind of looked at the timeline too and what's we have in the budget to get it done. So it's.
Okay.
I never heard clear guidance on doing anything different than what the survey responses were: grass, trees, and flowers.
Yeah, general
Nope.
consensus was, yeah.
Okay.
Do it, yeah.
Oh, if you can always put a path in.
You can do it later.
Yeah, I mean,
This
it's worth looking at. You got benches, you got about 8 feet to work with at the widest parts. And so if you're trying to keep a 4-foot path for handicap type access width at a minimum, and you got benches sitting there, I mean, you really don't
Run out
have
of
much.
room.
And where do you put it? Do you put the benches against the rock, or do you put the path against the rock as the shoreline continues to deteriorate in the road? And so it just didn't seem really feasible with the width we're working with.
It's a hard, yeah, I mean, it's a strip. It's really, there's not a lot.
I would have chosen a path over
Can I ask
this
some
sod.
money related stuff? So hydro seeding is not $13,000, is it?
No, this is to lay fresh sod.
Right. So the difference in how much for the hydro seeding? It's a lot.
Loam and
yeah.
seed was 15,000.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And so they still have to loam if they're gonna put the sod down. You still need something to kind of help.
Yeah.
Help. I mean, what's there now is very compact. And so you get this, they're saying they would still put loam down and then put the sod over the loam. The hydro seeding aspect of it's not terribly expensive.
Right.
So
Right.
there wouldn't be a huge savings to go to this route as opposed to that, because they're still putting a lot of that loam down.
So is this gonna have to be like mowed?
Yes, it
They
is
do anyway,
currently.
Yeah,
We do it anyway, yeah.
we've been doing it for years, yeah, keeping it trimmed and mowed, highway department, I mean, that's public works.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, so.
Mostly weed whacked, but.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, it's a
And-
hard spot to go
And
grass.
let me ask the last question. The change orders are all within the budget, right?
Yes.
In terms of our contingency?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the good news, Dan. Yes, everything is still, yeah.
Yeah, everything would
$1
be,
million question, but yeah.
everything would be asking for is not an extension of additional time or additional money. Actually trying to do my best to make sure we utilize all of the funding that's been appropriated. To the best of our ability. Other things that I've got on the list to do is we have some things that we purchased from the first phase, like around signage and that stuff that I'm hoping I can get included for reimbursement. We still need to think about the generator for the bathroom and pump station. We're still trying to verify whether we would have to rip up the asphalt to access the conduit, or whether we can just simply pull the line through the existing conduit with the charger. If we can do that, I'd like to see if we can get the standby generator approved.
Yeah.
The price for that is about 16 to 20 grand, depending on the extra setup work. Alternatively, we could get a portable generator. We just would have to have a staff person available during inclement weather, and just know that they have to go down there at a certain point and get that pump station functioning.
But where will we store it?
It'd have to be at the town garage and ready to go as needed. I just figured the standby, if we have the ability to do that, just provides this automatic boot. Still looking to get probably a couple of shipping containers and the possibility of one of those fabric tops to span that, so we could store the flood wall boxes and crates out of the elements.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to meet with EDA rep next week, just to see if that's something that they would be on board with our new project manager. So there's a couple more things, but the way I'm seeing it shake out, even assuming we can get all those things approved and things that are on this list, it still would leave us with a local share unspent of about 150.
Comfortable.
Should be able to have money ready to talk about other park improvements later on and see that for something if we want.
And would it have to be used for this project?
Probably, unless you go to the voters to reappropriate it, it's in the waterfront reserve.
Yeah.
So it's kind of for the park improvement, kind of just generally downtown park improvement, waterfront improvement. I think that there's going to be a need to back and talk about 3 years from now what we're going to do with the grass again. So.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got, so your total, Andy, is roughly 45,000 for the change work orders as of the March 24th.
Yes.
Letter, right? Yeah, so we'll table.
Doesn't include the sod.
Right, sod is separate, so we're that, so I'll make a motion to appropriate up to $45,000 from the parking lot project to complete the change orders as presented in the March 24th letter from Kirker Construction.
And this is contingent upon EDA not approving. I don't expect they won't.
Yeah.
But the contractor really wants to know.
Right.
Now, if
I'll add that in contingent upon EDA not approved.
Yep.
Yeah.
That gives me the ability to say, yes, Ian, we're moving forward with these. Striping is probably the most, and the plumbing is the other one, is getting the subcontracts lined up for those. But we intend for this to be covered by the EDA grant.
So,
Primarily.
so either way, we can cover it, but the motion is contingent upon the EDA not covering it, so. Fair enough. We want a second on that one.
All right.
Second. Tom's got the second. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor? Okay. Yeah, it's really nice. That's moving along and we've got dates and, then start dates and all that.
Yeah,
no weather and.
April 7th, next Monday, they're gonna have some equipment start to show up. The rest of the week, they're gonna start raising manhole covers. They anticipate needing to occupy the parking spaces along the river for the week. But I mean, a lot of the work they're doing in the parking lot will just kind of be moving around, and so there's not going to be a major shutdown of the entire parking lot. Fortunately, and unfortunately, it's not in as high demand now as it's going to be in, by end of May. So they have the ability to move around. We'll do our best to communicate with folks. Localized impacts of certain storefronts and that kind of stuff. Thomas will be our PR again. And when it comes time to paving, I've just been telling folks, let's assume it might be 2 or 3 days of a total shutdown, but I mean, they'll do the best they can to, like they did last time, to work
They'll
around
stage it and come in.
I don't know right now if, how they're exactly going to want to do it. So for those trying to plan, I just don't.
Are we going up?
Yes, we can get a more
Yeah.
scheduled plan from them, hopefully, next week.
Are we going up Cross Street?
Not up Cross Street. No, that's outside of the EDA scope.
We're gonna go around the corner. We're gonna do that corner at least on Cross and Water.
It's gonna go back to where the thaw cut was when they put that catch basin in.
Yeah. I mean, that drainage thing on that corner is,
On the corner of Cross and Water.
yeah. I know which one I mean.
Well, they replaced all of those ones.
Yeah, the one on the immediate corner there that was.
Those were all
that-
new
that got-
structures.
That's all done,
Right.
done, yeah.
But
We still have to raise it and finish around
Right.
it and stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
so. But as far as, going up through, because getting up to 129 or the Bristol Road, that's outside of the scope of the.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Cross Street and the rest of Water would be another project to
Yeah.
do. They're gonna go the rest of Water Street back to Main Street.
Right.
And then you just gotta put into a
Cross
work
Street
plan.
is a mess. I mean, John was there filling it and it's all come out again already.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, yeah.
Yep.
So it's, timing and trying to get, within the scope of the Crookers.
And we can ask them for a price. I mean, my concern.
Ask him for the price and just do a quick overlay on it.
Yeah, and that's my concern is there's some drainage things there that should be done. There should be a couple
Oh.
structures on Cross Street with
Exactly.
curbing. Should be. Now, whether we want to just say, okay, let's just do the overlay and just buy us the time and run it out Water Street while we're here.
I just get a price just on a quick overlay, just to
Buy some time.
buy you a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean,
Yeah, wouldn't hurt to ask, so.
If they're there, if they weren't there, it'd be one thing, but if they're gonna be
Right.
there, we might as well just say it
Right.
can't be that much to do it, that much
For you
more.
guys, yeah.
Well, if we're not doing structures, it's gonna be a couple more trucks of
Right.
asphalt, really.
Right.
So
Right, yeah.
but it
yeah,
might
just to get
help
it
us
smoothed
to
out,
keep it.
so.
Together for,
It'll help.
yeah.
Yeah.
It'll keep John from chasing potholes. That's gonna get a lot of other stuff for him to do,
It's
so.
quite bad there.
Yeah, it's got
worst. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find if they can just add it on. We can pull it out of the pavement reserve or whatever we need to, so. Okay, good. Do we bounce around enough on that?
I don't know, Leslie doesn't know where she is now.
She's following along. I told her this
I think
week,
she's in Newcastle
Yeah.
now.
we're gonna run fast and loose with these agendas sometimes, so you gotta hang on.
Oh, my gosh.
So great. Any discussion items from the board tonight? Anybody want to speak up? Dive in?
Real quick, Senator Cameron Rennie's put a bill in to ask that the DMR does mapping of rivers.
Oh, okay.
Following what Yarmouth has been doing, which is the first step, a baby step in trying to plan for the river from a multiple use standpoint.
Okay, great. Yeah, get some more information gathered on it. So that's good. So. Nice. What else here? Hearing none? Yep. We're good. All right. I'm not gonna add anything to it, though. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Did you get the motion? Tom seconded. All those in favor? Okay, thank you, everybody.